The City of Neenah is pleased to provide video recordings of City Council meetings. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents from the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or completing the electronic feedback form on the city website. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited.
Good evening. I would like to call to order the City of Neenah Common Council meeting for March 20th, 2024. The first item on the agenda is the roll call. Please indicate your presence on your roll call device.
Alderperson Boyette.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Hillstrom.
Here.
Lendrum.
Here.
Alderperson Steiner is excused. Alderperson Stevenson.
Here.
Alderperson Skirms is excused. Alderperson Weber.
Here.
And Council President Borchard is excused.
I would also just like to point out that City of Menasha Attorney Struve is presenting for us in place of Attorney Rashid, who is on vacation. Alderman Lendrum, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There are no appointments this evening, so the next item on the agenda is approval of the council proceedings of March 6, 2024. Is there any objection to unanimous consent of approval of the minutes from March 6th and that regular session meeting? Seeing no objection, those minutes and proceedings are approved. The next item on the agenda is the public hearing portion of our meeting for tonight. The first item for public hearing, I would like to open the public hearing for consideration of the 2024 Community Development Block Grant Program proposed use of funds and annual action plan. If there's anyone here who would like to speak on in the public hearing portion of the meeting regarding that item, now is your opportunity to speak. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on the consideration of the 2024 Community Development Block Grant Program proposed use of funds and annual action plan? Anyone who would like to speak on that item? Seeing no one, I will close that public hearing. The next item is consideration of ordinance 2024-02, amending the City of Neenah Comprehensive Plan Update to 2040. And I will open that public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to speak during the public hearing for consideration of ordinance number 2024-02, amending the City of Neenah Comprehensive Plan Update 2040? Is there anyone here who would like to speak on that item? Anyone? Seeing no one, I will close that public hearing. The next item for public hearing is consideration of a subdivision variance for the creation of 2 lots which are less than 60 feet wide and less than 7,200 square feet in area for the 2-lot CSM located at 806 Main Street. Is there anyone here who would like to speak during the public hearing portion of our meeting regarding that item?
My name is Dawn Zimmerman. I am the former owner of 806 Main Street, Neenah. I did not fill out this paperwork, even though my name is associated with it at this time and through the application process, but I did not submit this paperwork and would prefer that my name be removed.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak relative to the consideration of the subdivision variance for the creation of 2 lots which are less than 60 feet wide and less than 7,200 square feet in area for the 2-lot CSM located at 806 Main Street? Yes, please come forward to give your name and address.
My name is Robert Nolan. I live at 804 Main Street, and I guess I'm just gonna ask, what do you mean? I kinda understood what Dawn meant, but what happens now?
Can we,
What's the plan, I guess? What is the ultimate plan? Someone's selling the lot? She doesn't own it anymore? So somebody else is selling it? Is that what I'm understanding? Yeah? Okay, so
take the questions as we go? Okay. If it's okay with you, we'll take any further comments during the public hearing, and then we'll answer them at the end of the public hearing for clarification.
that,
Right at the end of this, yes. I won't make you stay all night, believe me. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during the public hearing on this item?
I think it's a crazy idea. And besides, I don't think that's 60 feet wide. And I got the paper on it, says 48 feet wide. And we have enough trouble the way it is with, that was our lot, front lot to begin with. And we don't need any more trouble. It's nothing but been trouble with the neighbor there. And I don't want any more. And there's not enough room to build. They said a house on 2 lots there. Now they're saying you can build 1 house on there. It doesn't make sense to me.
I'm sorry, but could you give us your name and address, please?
Pardon me?
Could you give us your name and address, please?
My address is 819 Edward Street, and my name is Joan Doucette.
Thank you. Alderman, is it okay with you if we wait to the end of the public hearing for comments?
My comment was going to be the point of order to have her name and address.
Yep,
So
okay.
I don't know what to say either. I'm Jane Mastrangelo. I live at 810 Edward Street, and the lot is like right across the street, so I don't know what's going on either.
Okay.
So I just came here to say whatever.
What's, okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during the public hearing portion of the meeting regarding this particular variance? Anyone else who would like to speak? Seeing no one, I will close that public hearing. I would like to ask Director Hayes to answer the question on that.
I would defer to Deputy Director Schmidt. Brad, if you could give us
Okay.
just
Thank
a
you.
summary of how we got to where we are and what your understanding of the plan is for the property.
Sure. So the request is fairly simple. They have a lot that is basically a double frontage lot that fronts Main Street and Edward Street. They are planning to split the lot into 2 separate lots. Typically, a CSM or a subdivision like this would not come to council, with the exception that this is a substandard lot, and to create these lots, a variance is required. Number one, because the lot is less than 60 feet in width, in this case about 46 feet, and less than 7,200 square feet in size. The proposal, from my understanding, is to construct a house on the south lot, which would front Edwards.
You just clarify that a construction there, even though the lot is substandard, is still required to meet all our setback requirements.
Thank you for that clarification. The next item on the agenda then is the Plan Commission report pertaining to the public hearing. Alderman Steiner would typically give that report, but in his absence, I will be reading out that report. The Plan Commission meeting of March 12th, 2024. Minutes are available on the city website. The first item, Commission recommends council approve ordinance number 2024-02, amending the City of Neenah Comprehensive Plan Update to 2040. Is there a motion to approve? Alderman Weber. Is there a second? Alderman Hillstrom. There's a motion and a second on the item to approve ordinance 2024-02, amending the City of Neenah Comprehensive Plan Update 2040. Any discussion on this item? Alderman Boyette.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. Given the new information at hand, I would like to motion to table this until which time the previous owner of the property.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, wrong one. My bad. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry. I see it now. My bad.
Is there any discussion on recommending approval of ordinance number 2024, amending the City of Neenah Comprehensive Plan Update? Alderman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it would be good for current council members and the community to understand the purpose of a 2024 comprehensive plan and how it would be intended to be used, and whether it's gospel or whether
Right.
that kind of thing. And
Thank you.
I'd like an update on that myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if Chris, could you just give us a little, or Brad, whoever.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start out kind of explaining what a comprehensive plan is.
Is his mic on?
Yeah,
I don't think
move it
so.
towards you more.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so a comprehensive plan is basically a general guide to help assist local officials, elected officials in making land use decisions. It's comprehensive. It's not meant to be very detailed in the sense that you're looking at any specific property. You're looking at the city as a whole and the areas outside of the city. It's a long-range document. It's looking 20 to 30 years into the future, and it's dynamic. It's something that we should constantly be looking at changing as land use patterns change or market conditions change. The current comprehensive plan was adopted in 2017. It's good practice to look at that comprehensive plan every so often to make changes based, again, on market demand, land use patterns, things of that nature. This particular amendment was not a full rewrite. It wasn't a full update in that sense. It was really more of a cursory review to look at each chapter in the document. In fact, our Plan Commission reviewed each chapter in a series of 8 meetings since July. And the purpose really was to look at new economic, demographic, and housing statistics that were available since 2020 that we didn't have in 2017. In addition, we looked at our implementation plan, which is probably the main part of our comprehensive plan, which includes the goals, recommendations, and the action items. So I went through that list, which is part of that plan, and updated the status of a number of those implementation steps. A few major things changed since 2017, and which really kind of started us to look at and amend the comprehensive plan. Number one, there's a number of references in 2017 to the closure of Theta Clark. Obviously and thankfully that didn't happen. So those references to what happens to that site and how do we redevelop it, those were removed from the plan. In 2022, the city updated the Town of Neenah boundary agreement. So that changed some of the dynamics in the plan, and some of those references to that document were amended. Since 2017, the city adopted the South Commercial Street Corridor Plan and the Downtown Plan. Both those plans have been referenced in the comprehensive plan update. And then finally, there were some just minor changes, particularly to the police station addition remodel project that in the community facilities section of the code, some language was added just to talk about that. As I mentioned, we had met 8 times with our Plan Commission. Each meeting was dedicated to a chapter in the comprehensive plan. At each of those meetings, Plan Commission asked questions, made various changes or recommended changes, and then ultimately held a public hearing at our last meeting in February. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that overview, Deputy Director Schmidt. Hopefully that clarifies it for everyone. It's really a guidance document for us for planning, but not something that we are obligated to adhere to.
As I like to kind of say, this is not a regulatory document in the sense like a zoning code or a subdivision ordinance. This is much more of a guide, conceptual in nature.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? Seeing none, please cast your vote for approval of ordinance number 2024-02, amending the City of Neenah Comprehensive Plan Update 2040. That motion passes 6-0. The next item on the agenda is the recommendation to commission for council to approve a subdivision variance for the creation of 2 lots which are less than 60 feet wide and less than 7,200 square feet in area for the 2-lot CSM located at 806 Main Street. Alderman Boyette.
Okay, now I want to, I would like to make a motion to table this, given the new information that's come to light, and that the application and the paperwork have the prior owner's name removed from it, and we can move forward with the new owner's information. And yeah.
There's a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderman Weber seconds. Did you have a question?
Nope.
Okay. Is there any discussion on tabling this item? Seeing none, please cast your vote to table the recommendation of the approval of the subdivision variance. That motion passes 6-0. So that item has been tabled. It will be taken up again at a further date in the future. I hope that clarifies things for those of you who are in attendance tonight. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the public forum. This is the opportunity for anyone from the public to speak on any topic that they would like to present.
I'm sorry. Before the folks leave regarding to that topic, if I could just be clear on that. The item is tabled. We've had the public hearing, so there will not be a formal notice when that item comes back.
Thank you for that
You
reminder.
have the ability to go on our website and register for our Plan Commission agendas and council agendas. So you have the ability to keep an eye on those, because I suspect that will come back as soon as the next meeting. So I don't want anyone walking away thinking that it's a dead issue, because I don't believe that's the case. So just so folks know, and they can certainly call my office, call the mayor's office. We can put you in touch with the right links so that you can monitor if and when this item comes back again. So sorry about that, Mayor. I just wanted to make
no
sure we
problem.
weren't misleading anyone.
Thank you for that clarification. Again, is there anyone here who would like to speak in the public forum? If you would like to, please come forward and give your name and residential address.
Good evening, everyone. Kay Horan, 324 9th Street, Neenah, Wisconsin. And I am a Winnebago County Supervisor for District 5. I am here because yesterday at our county board meeting, we were fortunate enough to be able to bring 2 resolutions back to the floor. They were for the, hang on, I'm going to tell you. The mobile traffic barrier system. And I want you to know that through the education and the information that was received by both Aaron, I've got everybody's name, Aaron Olson, your police chief, and Nick Thorne, the Menasha police chief. There came an understanding of what was being requested, and that was huge. And I am here to say thank you to each and every person who had a hand in going about educating the county board. You are now having an additional $300,000 given to you from the Spirit Fund of Winnebago County so that you can have all 68 of your traffic barriers. Menasha has asked for under $200,000, and I believe they will get 26 barriers from that. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who has had a hand in this. It's been super, and having that communication and that back and forth has been enormous. Thank you all.
Thank you. We're very pleased to have had that vote turn out the way it did last night, so we really appreciate that. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in the public forum?
Yes, good evening. My name is Dr. Bill Van Lopik, and I live in 2518 in Grand Chute, but I work across my office. I work for Esther, which is in First United Methodist Church. And I just wanted to say, I want to talk in regards to Ordinance 2024-4, which is in regards to the camping on city property. Our organization, about 2 years ago, received a pretty good grant to look at homelessness in Winnebago County. And over the past couple years, we have interviewed almost 200 people who are housing insecure. I mean, we met them at day-by-day warming shelter, at food pantries, at all over the place. And the idea was to get their stories, to understand better what is the underlying issues of homelessness. And I think that's what this ordinance seeks to address. And what we have learned by all those different interviews is such a myriad of reasons for homelessness. And I gotta say, as I interview people, I'm just one accident away, one catastrophe of illness away, one divorce away, one fire in my home away, one increase of rent away. I mean, each of us are a thin line between our comfort zone and homelessness. And that's what we've learned. All these stories that we heard about. You know, and the other thing I've learned is in the past 2 years, housing has gone from has increased 20 to 35% in Winnebago County. I mean, it's really skyrocketed. However, wages have not increased. So that means many, many people, they got through COVID, but now after COVID, rent prices have just increased, and they are left homeless. They don't know where to go. We've talked to many people who live in their cars. That is a preferred place to be rather than outside on the street. Or have just lived in other people, their friends' houses, or wherever they can go, and going to the day-by-day warming shelter if that's available. So I think the idea of camping is nobody wants to do that in the winter. That's not a preferred way to live. So I just want to ask that that you all consider maybe more compassionate. What is a better way to deal with people who are homeless in Neenah other than just shooing them away and saying, go someplace else? Because there isn't really any place else to go. But there's other solutions. Other cities have tackled it, and I'm just encouraging you all to think about other alternatives other than giving a citation to someone who already doesn't have money to pay. So that just makes no sense. So, but there are other solutions, and we'd be happy to look at those too. So that's just what I wanted to say today. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during the public forum?
Hi there. My name is Rosemary McCarthy, 650 South Lake Street. At the risk of sounding repetitive, my husband and I have lived in Neenah for over a decade now, as well as having 7 foster children come through our home. We are also raising our daughter here. Being involved with the county in foster care, we've had many opportunities to be in community with people from all walks of life. I've watched mothers struggle to regain control of their lives. I've watched children grow into adulthood and attempt to navigate the world. And I've seen them all stumble and need help. And I have more than one neighbor living paycheck to paycheck. We need more affordable housing. We need resources to help community members become whole again. And really what that looks like for most of us is mental health care, and affordable housing. The people who are at their lowest do not need to be kicked out when they are down. What we can't do is bully the weakest of us. What we don't get to do is pretend like half of us are not one accident, one family tragedy, one layoff away from being in a situation where we find ourselves without housing as well. We need to figure out how the city is going to rise to these challenges, because they're not going away. Like he said, our cost of living is going up 20 to 30%, and our wages have not met that. That is the problem we have here, and it's not going away. This just keeps getting worse and worse. Our economy is producing more and more houseless families. Targeting these people does nothing to solve our real problems. And frankly, it doesn't feel very Wisconsin of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during the public forum?
Hello, my name is Sarah Kosmicki. I live at 4 Armstrong Street in the town of Neenah. I'm the director of Casa Esther Catholic Worker House, and I'm here today to also speak about the camping ordinance aimed at the homeless population. The article in the Neenah News stated that this ordinance is aimed at addressing a growing homelessness issue in the Neenah area. But the ordinance itself actually does nothing to address the issue. It asks the issue to please stay out of sight. It asks people who are experiencing homelessness to please go and experience it someplace where we don't have to look at it. I do appreciate that this ordinance does not go nearly as far as some measures to criminalize homelessness, but an ordinance that can assess a monetary penalty to an unhoused person for sleeping outside when there are no shelter beds available is unjust. To assess a monetary penalty to someone unable to meet their basic needs just exacerbates an already critical situation. Not having a home is a tragedy, and it's not a crime. Criminalization of homelessness has been shown to be ineffective, expensive, and in some instances, it has even been shown to be unconstitutional. The United States Department of Justice filed a statement of their position on the constitutionality of anti-camping ordinances. They stated that laws criminalizing camping or sleeping outdoors are unconstitutional in some instances, for example, when there is inadequate shelter space for a city's homeless population. This is because sleeping is a necessary and unavoidable function of being alive. And the DOJ argues that when people have nowhere else to do so, their choice to camp or sleep outside cannot be seen as voluntary. Neenah, as you know, has no shelter for unhoused individuals. Shelters in Appleton and Oshkosh consistently operate at capacity with lengthy waiting lists. I understand that the impetus behind this ordinance lies with 1 or 2 specific individuals who may or may not have even been homeless but were deemed an eyesore. But the reality is that once an ordinance is enacted, it will apply to all unhoused people in Neenah now and in the future. Neenah, along with many other communities throughout our county and state, are seeing an increase in homelessness. And it is true that this is an issue we should be talking about. But to address a growing homelessness issue by passing an ordinance that seeks to punish the unhoused population is misguided. Criminalization does nothing to reduce the number of people who experience homelessness. I would encourage city officials to reach out to local organizations working on solutions to homelessness, like the Winnebagoland and Fox Cities Housing Coalition, which include members of the Day by Day staff, the Pillars staff, the housing advocates at Esther, which Bill is a part of, and organizations like the Winnebago County Help Program, AdvoCap, and Casa Esther, to learn more about the best practices in addressing homelessness. Again, not having a home is a tragedy, not a crime, and it should be treated as such.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during the public forum portion of tonight's meeting?
Okay, my name is Raymond Yankee. I live at 203 Joseph Court, Apartment 2 in the city of Neenah. And with this problem, they're trying to the homeless is trying to say that they can't afford it. There's agencies out there that if they look and they care about, if the people have a good idea where to go and how to look at it, they should look at it. But people like I do, I pay $900 a month, and here I am. I'm 71 years old, and I'm still paying, but I work. But what if they're not working and not doing their opportunity, looking for jobs or anything, that's their fault. Not no one else. They should bear down and look for jobs and then do something right. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during the public forum portion of tonight's meeting? Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you, Mayor. The reason I'm speaking at the public forum is I have an email from a resident, and she asked me to read this. She cannot be here tonight. She has a prior commitment. Her name is Susan Perkins, 613 South Park Avenue. And she starts out her email, to Carrie with permission to read out loud at the City Council meeting on 3/20/24. As a 25-year resident and taxpayer, I believe the no camping ordinance is absolutely essential. As a person who assists homeless inmates, let me read that again. As a person who assists homeless inmates and currently takes them into my own home until they can get established, here are my thoughts. Following the same principles of the broken windows and unkempt property that invites more of the same, the best way to show true compassion is to not allow the encampments. Allowing the encampments leads to a dangerous and unhealthy situation for the unhoused. Troubled folks can be directed to the several facilities available in our area so they get the right kind of help, as opposed to handouts, food and money, etc. And just ignoring them is also not compassionate. Thank you, and with all due respect, I urge the council to please vote for this new ordinance. Susan Perkins, thank you.
Thank you. Again, is there anyone else who would like to speak during the public forum portion of tonight's meeting?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Rust. I am a candidate for Winnebago County Circuit Court Branch 1. I'm just here tonight to introduce myself to everyone, and I will be around for the meeting, and then I'll be willing to talk to people afterwards if you have any questions. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak during the public forum? If not, I will close the public forum portion of tonight's meeting. The next item on the agenda, Mayor Council consideration of public forum issues. Is there anyone who has anything to state at this time? Then we will move on to item number 8 on the agenda, the consent agenda. Is there any objection to unanimous consent of the consent agenda? Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to remove item B and move that item B for the HVAC onto the Public Services and Safety reporting out.
Thank you. Do we need a second to move that item, or just to move it? Okay. Okay. Is there any objection to moving that item to its correct location?
Any alderman can ask for any item to be reported
Yep.
out through the council meeting, through the committee report.
Oh, okay. Yeah. If it's more appropriately reported out in that committee. So the consent agenda item is the approval of temporary Class B picnic license application to Bergstrom Mahler Museum Art After Dark event to be held on March 21st. Is there any objection to unanimous consent of that item? Seeing none, that item is approved. The next item on the agenda is reports of standing committees, regular Public Services and Safety Committee meeting of February 13th. Alderman Lendrum.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be reporting out for the regular Public Services and Safety Committee meeting of February 13th, 2024, and also the March 12th. And the minutes can be found on the city website. Item number 1, we are going to go back to the item that was under the consent agenda. And I'll move to approve the City Hall third floor HVAC control upgrade proposal from Energy Control and Design in the amount of $64,271 from funding of $60,000 coming from the capital facilities budget and the remaining $4,271 being funded with public facility funds. And that's a motion.
There is a motion from Alderman Lendrum,
I'll second.
seconded by Alderman Stevenson, to accept the City Hall third floor HVAC control upgrade proposal from Energy Control and Design in the amount of $64,271 with funding of $60,000 coming from the capital facilities budget and the remaining $4,271 being funded with the public facility funds. Is there any discussion on this item? And thank you for moving that to the appropriate readout. Any discussion? Seeing none, please cast your vote on your voting device. That motion passes 6-0.
Item number 2, committee recommends council to approve ordinance 2024-04, camping on city-owned property, and the amendments to the open burning ordinance, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Lendrum, seconded by Alderman Weber, to recommend council approve ordinance 2024-04. Okay, and the open burning ordinance as well. Alderman Lendrum.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to point out that our paralegal, Becky DeWitt, is here if anyone has any questions.
Is there any discussion on this item? Alderman Boyette.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question, actually two, legally speaking. First of all, I'm curious if there's a state statute on this that we are replicating.
Do you want Becky to come forward?
Thank you, Alderman.
Or do you want?
Yeah, I think you have to have it closer
I
to
ask
you.
for legal advice.
Okay, she's paralegal.
Thank you, Alderman.
Sure.
I'm not familiar with any discussion that was previously had between the paralegal, Attorney Rashid, as well as the PD in this matter. I can point to a 86.025, which is camping on highways, that would criminalize this type of offense, and I can state that it shall be unlawful for any person or persons to camp in wagons, tent or otherwise, on the public highways or lands adjacent thereto after a notice to remove therefrom by the owners of such adjacent lands or the owner of land abutting on the highway or by a member of the Board of Supervisors or any trustee of any town or village where such camping place is made. Any person or persons violating the provisions of this section shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor, and upon conviction thereof shall be fined not exceeding $10 or imprisoned in the county jail not exceeding 30 days or both. However, there is no state statute that would prohibit this type of behavior.
Okay, thank you. And my second question, excuse me, is potentially, I guess Becky could answer this one. For the way this ordinance is written, it specifies that there isn't a fined amount. And I'm just curious how this will, how this will deter folks from doing this, and it's not real clear to me at least, where it says it's a repetition thing, like what is the actual penalty? In my experience, you just keep telling somebody they're doing it wrong or they can't do that, they're gonna keep doing it. So I'm just wondering, I guess.
My understanding of the ordinance as written is that that would be left up to the judge to impose the civil forfeiture, and it would be within a certain dollar amount at his disposal.
Okay, because it didn't say that in there. Okay, thank you.
Is there any further discussion on ordinance 2024-04 and amendments to the open burning ordinance? Seeing no further discussion, I would ask that you cast your vote on your voting device. That motion passes 6-0.
And that's the end of my report.
Thank you for your report. The next item on the agenda is the regular Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of March 11th. Chairman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. Reporting out from the regular Finance and Personnel Committee meeting of March 11th, 2024. The minutes can be found on the city's website. The committee recommends council approve the 2023 general fund operating carry forwards to 2024, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson. Is there a second? Seconded by Alderman Boyette. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none. Any questions? Seeing none, I'd ask that you'd cast your vote on your voting device. That motion passes 6-0.
Item number 2, the committee recommends council approve the use of fiscal year 2023 general fund balance surplus in the amount of $436,518.78 and the ARPA interest in the amount of $239,593.62, totaling $676,112.40 to be applied to the following deficits: municipal court, $245,287.61, Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue, $274,260.91, and 50% of the parking utility at $156,563.88 for a total of $676,000 and $112. Let me try that again. $676,112.40, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Lendrum. Is there any discussion on this item? Alderman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. An interesting motion, and I'm glad to see that we're proactively identifying deficits. Just a comment: the Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue budget shortfall typically would be absorbed through remaining fund balance at the end of the year. And that's how that, and that's okay to recognize it. I like the fact that we're straightforward and actually committing dollars to it. Two questions actually, regarding the municipal court. That takes care of the Neenah share of the municipal court deficit, but doesn't address the remaining $163,000 that Menasha would be Menasha's share of the court. Have we had discussions with them? What's our methodology? Once we write off our debt and we're back to whole, is Menasha going to continue to, what's going,
Yes, we have had that discussion. I'll let.
Thank you.
Yes,
Director
I have had the
Asmussen address it.
discussion with Menasha, Jennifer Sassman, the finance director. We sat down, we talked about fire and court.
In 2018, they put about $36,000 towards the deficit and have not put anything
To the court?
to the court
Yeah, okay.
the last few years. They do have something, a nominal amount in the budget for 2024 to go, and she is going to now be looking at applying something every year and re-looking at where she is for the 25 budget. They did just pay off $181,000 for the fire. So she, I think, just had to recoup. But we have had the conversation. She knows that we plan on paying that off, and then that she needs to come up with a plan with the mayor.
Yeah, good, good.
yep.
So in essence, we've been proactive and we're aggressively attacking both parts of the deficit equation.
That's correct.
Perfect.
And then we're getting together a team to look at what we can do different, but also to follow the agreement more to a T that we haven't been doing because we were supposed to be putting monies toward it every year.
Right, and we should be recognizing that at the end of the year, once the audit's completed, and saying how the court do and how much fund balance should we apply to it.
That's
So
my
my
plan.
second question is, so thank you for that. Thanks for being proactive to do that. The parking utility, we're addressing half the deficit. What's the plan? I mean, what's our thoughts there?
Sure. The reason we didn't do the whole deficit is because I also had to watch the undesignated general fund balance percentage to make sure we're in the right percentage for our bond ratings, so that we are healthy to be able to cover, 2 months expenditures
Right.
in case. So we're going to be also, we already started meeting as a parking group, the different areas this last year. We did look at the different permit fees and raise them, the daily ones just a hair. And so we also met with the police department and talked to them about their CSAs, that during COVID, they had lost most of their CSAs, and they're building that back up as well for the parking enforcement. So we plan to get together again and create like a parking task force to decide what other things can be done. But at this point, it does not look like it can cover itself. And
Right, it's gonna ultimately be a taxpayer funded
Yeah.
or supported entity, which
right.
most communities do that anyway.
And for our economic development, to keep our downtown vibrant, we have to weigh the good and bad.
Increased CSA enforcement increases your costs, probably more than it increases your revenue.
Correct. So yeah.
Okay, well, good. Well, thank you very much for that. I appreciate hearing that.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on that item? I do have to say how much I appreciate Director Rasmussen and her tenacity with wanting to address some of these deficits and just taking a very responsible look at them and guiding that entire process. I really appreciate her.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, please cast your vote on your voting device. That motion passes 6-0.
Item number 3, the committee recommends council approve an agreement with Ben Tech Software Services in a prorated amount of $15,000 for 1-year costs and $10,000 for implementation to be purchased from the information system ERP suite account within the capital equipment budget, and I so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Erickson, seconded by Alderman Lendrum. Is there any discussion on this item? Alderman Stevenson.
Yeah, thanks. I see Matt's here. I had a question for Matt regarding, is this $25,000, has this been in our ERP planning process for how long? Or is this something that we're reacting to based on our current climate with HR?
This was something that we had planned on looking at purchasing most likely towards the end of this year. However, with the retirement of a recent staff member, we decided to push that forward to this timing, just to get it in place before we have to train that person one way with the current process and then retrain them with the new system.
Okay.
So this was something we had already planned on.
This was included in all the applications that we had identified in our ERP planning, so we just accelerated the purchase.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Boyette.
Thank you, Mayor. Matt, Can you come back? Sorry, I was trying to talk faster. I'm just curious, it says for a 1-year cost, and I'm just curious what the ongoing costs would be.
The prorated amount was for $15,000 for the first year, with the plans to start fully implement on June 1st. So going forward, the full year cost would be $30,000 per year.
Per year?
Yep.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, please cast your vote on your voting device. That motion passes 6-0.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you for your report. The next item on the agenda, regular Plan Commission meeting, was already reported out. Next item on the agenda is the Board of Public Works meeting of March 14th. Vice Chairman Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mayor. The minutes from this meeting can be found on the city website. This evening we have 2 informational only items and then 4 council action items. The first information item is the board approved pay request number 3, Neenah Creek Bridge to Pfeiffer Brothers Construction in the amount of $70,315.20. Item B, the board approved pay request number 3, contract 2-23W, West Side Booster Station Building Construction to RJM Construction, LLC, in the amount of $103,265.00. First council action item this evening, the board recommends council award contract 4-24, South Park Drive easement sanitary sewer and water main to Scott Limers Construction in the amount of $366,812, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Hillstrom, seconded by Alderman Lendrum. Is there any discussion on this item, recommendation of awarding contract 424? Alderman Stevenson.
Yeah, thank you. I'm assuming, Jerry, that this is coming out of our 2024 capital borrowing package?
That's correct.
We should identify that when we request a payment like that. So it's coming from our capital fund. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please cast your vote on your voting device for the awarding of contract 424. That motion passes 6-0.
Item B, the board recommends council award contract 5-24, North Street Sanitary Sewer and Water Main to David Tenner Corporation in the amount of $549,607.60, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Hillstrom, seconded by Alderman Lendrum for the recommendation of the awarding of contract 524. Is there any discussion on this item? Alderman Stevenson.
Yeah, same question,
Same
Jerry?
thing, yep.
Okay. The next one, all 3 of these
Yep.
items are
We'll
from
make note of that, thank you.
before borrowing?
Yep.
Okay. Nothing left like previous years, 23 or anything
No.
like that. All right. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, please cast your vote. Oops, Alderman Hillstrom?
Dr. Kaiser, do you want to explain this amount and how it's going to be shared with the Fox Crossing?
Sure. This is a joint project that we are working on with the Village of Fox Crossing. The city is the lead on it. Council recently reviewed and approved an MOU with Fox Crossing, which broke out the cost share for each of the items on the project. We have some shared storm sewer and street costs. The sanitary sewer cost is all city, and Fox Crossing has some water utility work that they want to do, so that cost is all theirs. So we are proceeding along the lines of that MOU with the cost breakdown, but with the bid prices that we received.
Thank you.
Any further questions on this item? Seeing none, please cast your vote on your voting device for the awarding of contract 524. That motion passes 6-0.
Item C, the board recommends council award contract 6-24, Jewelers Park Drive, storm sewer and street construction to MCC Incorporated in the amount of $573,435.19, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Hillstrom, seconded by Alderman Lundrum, and we will make note of that coming from capital borrowing. Is there any discussion on this item, the awarding of contract 624?
Mayor, just one adjustment on the capital items that we've been discussing. This comes out of Tax Increment District 12.
Thank you for that clarification. Is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, please cast your vote on your voting device for the awarding of contract 624. That motion passes 6-0.
And the final item this evening, the board recommends council award contract 12-24, Douglas Stormwater and Water Main to DeGroot Incorporated in the amount of $205,786.42, with the stormwater overages to come from the detention pond budget, and I would so move.
There's a motion by Alderman Hillstrom, seconded by Alderman Lundrum. Is there any discussion on this item? Any questions? Seeing none, please cast your vote on your voting device for the approval of contract 1224. That motion passes 5-1.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you for your report. The next item on the agenda, reports of neighborhood groups. Alderman Skirms is absent this evening, so we'll move that report to the next meeting. The next item on the agenda is the library board. Report of the library board meeting, Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Neenah Public Library Board of Trustees met today at 4 o'clock. A few items I would like to highlight. Friday, April 12th, the library will be closed due to electrical work that will take place. I have a very positive note to share. From 2023 to 2024, programming is up 59%, so that is huge.
Oh.
And one last thing I'd like to highlight is Sundays in April, the University of Lawrence Student Quintet is bringing jazz to the library. They're going to feature work of different artists for each performance, and this is a very popular event, so if you're planning on going, please arrive early. And that concludes my report, and as always, please remember to check out some books.
Thank you for your report. The next item on the agenda, the Neenah Arts Council, also Alderman Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor. The Neenah Arts Council met last Wednesday in the council chambers. One item I'd like to highlight from that meeting is the Neenah Public Library Neenah Arts Council photo contest is currently underway. If you are interested in submitting photography, please visit the Neenah Public Library website for all of the details and the criteria for that. The deadline on that will be March 31st. And that concludes my report.
Thank you for your report. The Landmarks Commission, Alderman Weber, is there a report?
There is. Thank you, Mayor. The Landmarks Commission met on Thursday, March 13th. The minutes are on the city website. We had a more formal recognition of Flo Bruno and the Bacon Johnson House and their approval of the state historic places register, and also discussed with Miss Bruno the inclusion of her home on the Neenah Register of Historic Places. So we will address that at our next commission meeting. As I reported a few times previous, we've consistently looked for new members, and I'm happy to say we should have 2 new members coming the mayor's way at some point in time here. Hopefully that helps us get the team back up to where we need to be. And we also had election of new officers. Ron Klatt stepped down as the chair, so we thank Ron. And yours truly was elected as the chair by the commission, and then Jim Taylor was elected as the vice chair going forward. So, and that concludes my report.
Thank you for your report. Thank you for your service on the Landmarks Commission. Next item on the agenda, are there any petitions? Are there any council directives? Is there any unfinished business? Under new business, we have receive and place on file the Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue 2023 Annual Report. Fire Chief Tesh, did you want to make any comments on that?
Just a couple of things I would like to note. Local 275, I think it says in the report, has given back something like $37,000 to the community. I think over the course of their existence of their charitable fund, that number is reaching like $250,000 in the existence of that thing. So they're very vested in giving back to the cities here. I'd like to also point out we held our 5th Joint Recruit Academy, and that just is nowadays innovation, collaboration seems to be a big buzzword in government. I think Neenah and Menasha has led the way in this for 20-some years, starting with the joint fire department we have. It was a record year for responses, our highest year ever. As it says in the report, Chief Clone was the 23 Wisconsin State Fire Investigators Association's Chief of the Year. Yeah, I think there's 800 and some fire departments in Wisconsin. There's one guy that gets that award. He worked for Neenah Menasha Fire Department, so very happy with that. Our department received over $100,000 in grants, so that's $100,000 that doesn't come out of the city budget for stuff that we need to do our jobs. And of course, if you haven't heard, we're a ISO Class 1 fire department now, 10th one in the state, like 500th in the nation, so very proud of that. If you have any questions on the report, office is always open.
Thank you. You sure do have a lot to be proud of. Is there a motion to receive and place on file the Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue 2023 Annual Report?
Proud to make that motion.
Second.
There is a motion by Alderman Stevenson, seconded by Alderman Boyette, to receive and place on file the Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue 2023 Annual Report. Any additional comments or questions? Seeing none, we will have a voice vote to receive and place that on file. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you so much, Chief Tesh. That was very informative. And again, we're very proud of all the work that you're doing at Neenah Menasha Fire Rescue. The next item on the agenda, the Arrowhead Park Development Status Report, Alderman Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for asking, because I have something to report this evening. So it's been a while, but next week, Wednesday, the Arrowhead Task Force will be seeing the designs for the proposed work at Arrowhead Park, so pretty excited about seeing that.
Thank you for your report. Are there any announcements or questions that may legally come before the council? Alderman Lundrum.
Thank you, Mayor. Could I just ask the city clerk to remind everybody about early absentee voting hours in the lobby?
I'd be happy to. Early absentee voting started this week. It's, as Alderman Lundgren said, it's in the lobby. It's during business hours this week and all next week except for Friday, when we're here until 5. You can also request an absentee ballot through myvotewisconsin.gov, and we can mail one to you as well. The deadline to mail out ballots is next Thursday, the 28th.
Alderman Boyette.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to give an update. Friday morning, I will be going to Madison and participating in a bill signing with the governor for our service animal bill. So it passed, and he's signing it.
Thank you for that update. Any other announcements or questions that may come before the council? Seeing none, we have a closed session on the agenda tonight. Is there a motion to move into closed session?
So moved.
Second. There's a motion and a second for the council to move into closed session. I'd like to suggest we just take a brief 5-minute break and reconvene then.
The City of Neenah is pleased to provide video recordings of City Council meetings. Neenah residents can get information about City Council meetings, City Committee meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents from the City website, www.neenahgov.org. Neenah residents can express their opinions about city issues by contacting the mayor's office, contacting their city alderman, or completing the electronic feedback form on the city website. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited.